It's the worst of the CBC for July 12th, 2021, the show where I watch the CBC so you don't have to. And today I watched too much CBC, over 2 hours worth. Why, you may ask? Am I crazy? Probably. Is this a cry for help? Most likely. Should you call someone? Yes. Call the government and save me. Because there's nothing I need more than more government. Okay. I was going to be nice because I started 15 minutes into the hour and they didn't cover the Cuba story. So I'm like, okay, will they cover it the next hour? And then it turned into like one of those 1 hour long public health conferences. An hour worth of just nothing. There's a variant, and we're going to give more vaccines to the rest of the world. We're so good, and they're just all patting themselves back. Here's Minister Katrina Gold, a minister of nothingness, and blah, 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 blah. You remember when she tried to censor the internet 2 years ago? No one does, but me. New plan. This is outside the borders of CBC. We need to create a country. I don't mind giving up Canada for it. Create a country, and we'll use like these conferences like moth. We'll put Dr. Theresa Tam and Anthony Fauci, both of them. They could just do a public health conference, and they could just say variants, and then just everyone who cares slowly will just send everyone to that country. Then everyone who can't watch that can go to different countries, and that would solve. I think that would solve all of the world's problems if we could just isolate one place where people are like, what are the numbers today? Tell me the numbers. And then calling in like, well, I have a question. Like, those people need to be living somewhere else. We can't be in the same society anymore. It has to end. It has to end. We need a new country. We can live in peace with them and then just bomb them because we don't need it. Okay, is that going to get me censored, taken down? Maybe. Worst of the CBC. Okay. Worst covered story of the day. The officer who died in Toronto. They covered his funeral. And it was good that they covered his funeral and the fact that he was run over by a car. But this is the sort of insane thing, or the things that they do that drive people insane, and the hypocrisy that really don't fuel social cohesion well. About a month ago, there was a car ramming targeted against a Muslim family by a whack job. We came together, the country, to denounce Islamophobia, racism, whatever the attack was behind it. And we all agreed. Now, the CBC is not mentioning the victim's, the perpetrator's name and cause or whatever, because this was inversed, right? You had someone who was Muslim deliberately target a police officer with a car ramming and kill him. Now, because it's not being covered, it leaves us to speculate on what the motive might have been. Now, ISIS has tried to inspire people to do these type of things. They've deliberately written it. Is this ISIS inspired? We don't know. And it looks like no one in the media even cares to look. I mean, this is the type of stuff that make people go, okay, there's two different standards and two different candidates here. Why is that? And then that doesn't lead anywhere productive. So I just want to point it out that this was an inverse of what we had in London and should be treated the same. Right? Now, okay, biggest omission of the day. The Cuba stuff, okay? This is where the CBC drives me nuts, or general mainstream media. And I was expecting them to propagandize and obfuscate the Cuban stuff. Now, they didn't mention it. It did come up on the Chiron, and they did obfuscate in the Chiron. They did say Cubans protesting prices and lack of vaccines. No. They're protesting communism. Communism. They want freedom. They're waving American flags. So no, they're not protesting the American embargoes. It's a very interesting way to protest America, by saying we want freedom, we hate our government, and waving American flags. Call me crazy, but I don't think those people are protesting America. I think they're protesting the communist government. Now, this is sort of the line from, CNN, or say the White House is sort of going with yes, they're protesting lack of vaccines and prices and all that. Okay. What creates the scenario in which pricing and supply chains are highly, highly volatile? Can anyone think of an economic worldview that 100% of the time it's implemented creates pricing problems and supply problems? I don't know. It starts with a C and ends with an ommunism, and that is what they are protesting. And this is just like straight propaganda. So they didn't even cover it. But they just put the little propaganda on the Chiron to just to annoy me, just to specifically annoy me. And I remember going ballistic about a year and a half ago during the revolutions in the Islamic Republic of Iran, when the people were protesting their government and specifically the Islamic Republic, and the CBC actively lied to. I remember doing the show where Suhana Marchand directly. I know very little Farsi, but I know a little bit. I know Magbar Jami Islami. I know what that means. Magbar, death to. It's pretty common phrase in Iran these days, Magbar, Jami, Islami. Death to the Islamic Republic. They specifically were chanting against the government. And you could hear crowds of thousands chanting, Magbar, Jami, Islami, Magbar, Jami, Islami. And Savannah Marchand would get up there and like, what they are saying is they're protesting corrupt politicians and war. Like they don't want war with America or something. They turned it into, they were protesting like political corruption and like military spending or whatever. And it's like, no. They were calling for the end of the Islamic Republic wholesale. They think the government is wholesale corrupt. But the CBC are the type of idiots who actually think Iran has fair elections. Look, they democratically elected a mass murderer. And, the hardliner. Yes, the hardliner. He is a hardliner. He murdered thousands of people in the 88 massacres, whereas Rouhani, the moderate, only murdered hundreds of people. This is literally the CBC. And now we apply this to Cuba, which has no freedom, and they're out there being like, freedom! We want freedom! Give me an F, give me an R, give me pro-American thing. And they're like, well, they just want lower prices, and is this America's fault for putting an embargo on them? Clearly they're protesting America. How, like, I want to deport every communist who's ever talked to me and be like, it's America's fault, or the classic thing is like, yes, the sanctions on Venezuela caused the economic collapse of Venezuela 3 years prior to the sanctions being put on there. Like, we need to trade. We need to trade. I will trade every Cuban who wants freedom right now for Jagmeet Singh and his closest admirers. Like everyone who follows Jagmeet Singh on TikTok, I'll trade Jagmeet and his TikTok following for everyone in Cuba protesting for freedom. And then we'd have a much better country. So what does this get on the Rosemary Barton scale of bias? 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. They didn't even cover. Just drive me crazy. And then we had the press conference of like, there's going to be a variant and a vaccine and another vaccine. And then he had like a press conference to cover the press conference like this was a Super Bowl. So people actually like these things. People watch these stuff. I don't understand these people. I don't understand them. So that was the words of the CBC for today. If you want to support, click all the buttons you're supposed to click, and then you can donate to the Patreon or PayPal, and then help me take over the world, and then turn it into a communist. Just kidding. See you later, Justin Trudeau. I love you, and Jagmeet Singh, please stop suing me.